Right, welcome back to the Jack Ward Football Podcast and welcome to the dreaded episode that I do at the end of every season where I react to my original League One predictions. Yes, there's some stinkers once again. I'm going to go from 24th to 1st and touch on every single team and the position that I put them in before the season kicked off. Also, in the comment section down below, which one of my predictions was the worst? Quite a few to choose from. Also, who surprised you? Which club surprised you across the campaign? In my eyes, clearly, quite a few. Please make sure you leave a like and subscribe. On the road to 5.2 thousand subscribers, an incredible achievement. The content does not stop. Now the regular season is over. Lots more still to come, just like this one. Let's begin with my 24th place prediction. I had Morecambe. So in 24th, I predicted Morecambe. Of course, Morecambe didn't finish at the bottom of the table. They finished in 22nd, so I was 2 places out. Not my worst prediction. Of course, Morecambe did get relegated in the end. I thought it'd be a worse season than it was. And at one point, Morecambe, I thought they were going to be safe. I really, really did. There was a moment at sort of the latter end of the campaign where they were picking up some really, really important results. And I also try and cast my mind back to the summer when I was doing these predictions. And I remember Cole Stockton was on the fringes of leaving the football club. In the end, Cole Stockton did stay, but he didn't really score the amount of goals that Morecambe needed him to score. And he did score last season. Goal scoring output was a huge issue for Morecambe this season, hence why they are relegated. Not as bad as I thought though. Morecambe, I do worry about them going forward in the future with a lot of financial difficulties off the field. Morecambe, they finished in 22nd, but I had them in 24th. Any consolation? Probably not. So in 23rd, I put Port Vale. Not a great prediction, 5 places out. Port Vale finished in 18th in the end. A classic trap, I think, of putting teams that have just been promoted into League One back into that bottom 4. It didn't work out. In fact, only one side that got promoted fell into that relegation zone at the end of this season. So fair play to the other sides, including Port Vale, who, again, I did fall into that trap. Port Vale across the season never really feared relegation. Their second half of the campaign wasn't as good as their first half, but you still feel Port Vale, a lot of people, including myself, did tip them to go down. In the end, absolutely fine. So Port Vale, not great prediction-wise, but for your season, I think you're going to take it. 18th is where Port Vale finished in the end. So in 22nd, I went with Exeter. Not a good prediction. They finished 8 places higher in 14th. Fair play to Exeter. They've had a fantastic season back in Sky Bet League One, and I got it all wrong when doing their prediction back in July. And what they've had to deal with across the campaign as well just shows how good of a season it was. Of course, Matt Taylor left midway through the season to join Rotherham, somebody who got them into League One in the first place. That was a massive part of that football club as a player, and then a manager having to deal with that was a massive, massive difficulty, but they came through it absolutely fine. I thought their January recruits were really impressive. Mitchell, as an example, I think has come in and absolutely revolutionised the way that Exeter used those fullbacks in attacking sense and scored so many more goals. I just think Exeter have had a really good campaign. Of course, lots to work on. They've had some quite dodgy runs in what has been quite an inconsistent season. But I think if you look at Exeter going into the season, 14th, you're definitely going to take it and have surprised quite a few clubs along the way as well. Fair play to them. My prediction was all wrong. Do not listen to me next season, Exeter, because 22nd, not good at all. 8 places out in that one. So in 21st, I went with Cheltenham. The final team I thought would go down would be Cheltenham. I got it wrong. They finished in 16th. I was 5 places out. And I thought in the summer, losing Will Boyle, their captain, Michael Duff, to Barnsley, those were 2 really key figures and 2 really important figures for Cheltenham, especially the season before where they were safe last season. And I thought this year it wasn't going to be. It was going to be the time where they do get relegated. Of course, that was wrong. Wade Elliott at one point looked like he was going to be the next manager to be sacked, but he got the best out of the group of players in the end. And at the right moment, he got those results. And of course, they've been safe for quite a while now. So Cheltenham, I got that wrong. In the end, finished in 16th. I was 5 places out. Fair play to Cheltenham. I got that prediction wrong. I got them to get relegated. Of course, they were safe and sound in the end. So in 20th, I went with Forest Green Rovers. Not a very good prediction at all, really. Only 4 places out, but when you delve into what kind of season it's been for Forest Green, it's not very good, is it? They were the first team relegated by quite a while. They were adrift at the bottom end by quite a few points as well. I don't really think I was thinking with Forest Green in the summer, losing their manager, of course, some really key players. I thought maybe the recruits that came in was going to be enough to just keep them in the division. Of course, I was wrong. 4 places out. Forest Green, they're not staying up. They will be in League 2 next season. Not a great prediction, that one, at all. So in 19th, I went with Shrewsbury Town, which in the end is a pretty bad prediction. 7 places out. They finished in 12th, and it could have been even higher. At one point, they were hovering just outside the playoff places. In the end, it's going to be an exact mid-table position. But I thought Shrewsbury, I don't know why I put them 19th. I'll be totally honest, I'm not quite sure why. I thought their summer transfer window was quite good. They're bringing in players they weren't normally bringing in, the likes of Shea Dunkley. As an example, Moore came through the door. I thought these type of players were going to put Shrewsbury in a more competitive position in the higher end of the table. So putting them 19th, not quite sure what I was thinking. Either way, I got it very wrong. 7 places out. Fair play to Shrewsbury. A really good season in the end. 12th, they finished. I got them 19th. Not good at all. So in 18th, I went with Cambridge United. Not bad, really. Only 2 places out. Of course, Cambridge finished in 20th and saved just on the final day. It looked like Cambridge was certainly going to be relegated and playing League 2 football next season, but in the end, just about stayed in Sky Bet League 1. Fair play to Mark Bonner and that squad when it mattered. They really came through and picked up some quite important results. And for Cambridge, I got them in 18th. They finished 20th. They won't care where they finish now. They're going to be competing in the division again next season. But I thought it would be the lower end. I thought maybe a slight hinge of second season syndrome. In the end, it was second season syndrome, but it doesn't matter because they're going to be staying in the league. Not one of my worst. Cambridge, only 2 places out for them. So in 17th, I predicted Burton Albion. Not a bad prediction, similar to Cambridge, only 2 places out. At the start of the season, I thought they were destined for relegation. The amount of goals they were conceding was really quite harmful, and the results weren't great either. But Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank left the club, and Dino stepped up, and he really did deliver, save that club from relegation. In the end, a really quite comfortable position of 15th. Only 2 places out. Burton, I thought it was going to be a really quite bad prediction with you finishing probably rock bottom at one point for a large part of the start of the season. You were in that position, but in the end, you're safe. You finished in 15th. I got you 17th, so only 2 places out. I'll probably take that, really. So in 16th, I went with Bristol Rovers. Not a bad prediction again, to be honest. Only 1 place out. Bristol Rovers finished in 17th. I thought it would be a higher place finish for Joe Barton's side at one point, hovering around that top 10 position. But it wasn't to be. They tumbled down in the second half of the season, finishing in 17th. Aaron Collins, the key man again, delivering the goods, especially in the first half of the campaign. In the end, it was safety. I thought it would be safety for Bristol Rovers. It is. 17th is where they finished. I got them 16th. Not a bad call there with Bristol Rovers. So in 15th, I predicted Lincoln City. 4 places out. They finished in 11th in the end. Of course, Michael Appleton leaving the club at the end of the season. Mark Kennedy coming in. Quite a big turnover with players. I thought it would be a transition season. And I think it probably was, not in the way that maybe I thought of it. 4 places out, they did finish in a higher position, picked up some fantastic results on the way as well, beating Plymouth as an example, and sides that, again, when you look at their final position, you wouldn't expect them to beat. In Lincoln, it's been the sides probably below them when they've played them that have cost them a higher position. But Lincoln, positives to take, lots to work on over the summer, lots of recruits to potentially join over the summer as well. A transition season, probably right actually, of course finished in a higher position that I predicted them at the start of the campaign. I went with 15th, they finished in 11th, so fair play to Lincoln City there. So in 14th, I went with Accrington Stanley. Not a good prediction. My worst one so far. 9 places out. They finished in 23rd and did get relegated. I thought Coleman, the experience that he does have and the way that he knows Accrington and League One so well, it would be enough for them to stay in the league. I did have concerns over losing Colby Bishop in the summer, that it was going to be a struggle. And it has been a struggle. And so much so, they finished in 23rd in the end. But 14th, I thought it would be just a classic mid-table Accrington finish, but it wasn't. It was relegation. 9 places out. Accrington, a bad prediction and a bad season for them. So in 13th, I predicted Fleetwood Town, and of course, Fleetwood did indeed finish in 13th. Really pleased with that. Exactly in the right position. Quite a few people thought Fleetwood would get relegated, but I never thought that. I know it's easy to say now, I've got them in the correct position at the end of the season, but I did think Fleetwood, with Scott Brown coming in and quite a few new recruits joining over the summer, that there was going to be a bit of a feel-good factor about the club. Quite a refreshing feel after what was really close to relegation last season. I thought just in that bottom half, but only just by 1 place, 13th, was where Fleetwood were going to be. Again, their away form this season has been really good. At home, not quite as good, but away from home, they picked up some fantastic results along the way, finishing in 13th. There's a lot to work on, but also a lot to build, and quite an exciting summer and hopefully next season for them. So 13th is where I got them, 13th is where they finished. Really pleased with that. My first spot-on prediction was Fleetwood Town. So in 12th position, I predicted Wycombe Wanderers. Always quite a bold prediction, but in Wycombe, nowhere near So in 12th position, I predicted Wycombe. It was quite a bold call at the time because Wycombe always seem to find a way to finish in the top 6. 3 places out, they finished in 9th in the end. But season state is also really important, especially when speaking about Wycombe, because losing Gareth Ainsworth was a massive blow. And when he left the club for QPR, they were in still contention for a top 6 position. But Bloomfield has come in. I haven't been fully convinced by him, if I'm being totally honest. I think he's going to get a summer to really bring in the players that he wants. I think that squad does need a bit of a refreshment quite quickly because the average age is higher than most, and quite a few of those players have been quite around the Gareth Ainsworth era for quite a long time. So refreshment will be needed. I think it will happen at Wycombe because I think it is quite essential. But 12th I went with Wycombe. In the end, they finished in 9th. Could have been higher and probably would have been higher if Ainsworth hadn't have left when he did. In the end, 3 places out for Wycombe Wanderers. So in 11th, I went with Oxford United. We didn't finish 11th. We finished in 19th. 8 places out. A season to forget for every Oxford United supporter. I am so glad this season is over because at one point I thought it was going to be a season with relegation attached to it. Thankfully, it's not. We are safe and we're safe going into the final day. Robinson left the football club. Manning is now our manager. We've had a pretty horrendous campaign, but let's put it behind us and forget it ever happened because we're going to be in League One next season. That's the main thing. I remember doing a video saying we're in a relegation battle, and one before that, before the season even kicked off, saying I'm dreading this season. I was right. I didn't want to be right, but I was right. I was really, really concerned about the summer that we had, and it was a really bad summer. We saw with the players that came in. Just didn't work at all. January was really poor as well, then losing our manager. You name it, it went wrong, other than, of course, thankfully, us staying in the league. But there we go. Not a good call, that one. 11th for Oxford, of course, we finished in 19th in the end. So it doesn't get much better next. In 10th, I went with the champions, Plymouth. 9 places out. Was not pleased with this prediction when looking back now. Plymouth, of course, in the end did so well, secured the title. I thought the disappointment of missing out on the playoffs in the way they did last season was going to cost them a position in the top 6 in the end and not even see them in that. In 10th, I got them in 10th. I don't know why I'm trying to explain and trying to give a justification. It's a really bad prediction. I thought Plymouth, it just wasn't going to be the season that it was. Clearly, I got them in a really quite damaging position. 9 places out. Fair play to them. A fantastic summer transfer window. The blueprint, I think, for years to come with quite a few of these football clubs with aspirations to not be massively financially backed, but still have so much success on the football pitch and earn promotion into the Championship. Fair play to Plymouth. Congratulations to them. My prediction, though, really bad. I wrote them off, and a lot of people did write them off, and this proves you shouldn't write them off. Plymouth, I got them in 10th. They finished, of course, top spot. So in 9th position, I went with Charlton Athletic. Only 1 place out. Of course, they finished in 10th in the end. I thought back in the summer with Ben Garner, quite a few recruits, they would miss out on the top 6. But I wasn't writing them off from it. I thought it would be quite a competitive season. It wasn't, really. You look at 10th position, they weren't anywhere near the playoffs in the end, and they lost their manager, Ben Garner. He was sacked, and Dean Holden joined the football club. So, it was quite a disappointing season on the whole, once again, for Charlton. But, look, it could have been worse. 10th isn't a bad finish, and I think with Dean Holden, things do look brighter. A takeover could be on the cards really soon, and hopefully will be on the cards soon with Sangard looking to sell up that football club. But Charlton, 10th in the end, got them 9th. In prediction sense, it's not a bad one. I need 1 place out, but Charlton needs to happen. It needs to happen that takeover quite quickly, and that summer window needs to be quite strict and has to be quite aggressive, I'd say. But look, not a bad prediction. Only 1 place out for Charlton Athletic. So in 8th position, my worst prediction by a country mile, 13 places out. I went with MK Dons. Horrendous. They were relegated on the final day, finishing in 21st. It was a disaster campaign from 3rd place last season to relegation. It's been a complete and utter disaster. Losing Scott Twine, Harry Darling, we all knew there were going to be massive gaps and massive losses. And they recruited with quite a few number of players that never gelled, never worked, never came together. Liam Manning was sacked. Mark Jackson came in. He's now been sacked as of recording, as they've confirmed a place in Sky Bet League 2 next season. It's been an utter disaster. A football experiment gone wrong is what people are calling it. It's a football something. It's a disaster is what it is. MK Dons relegated from 3rd position. That's not even my prediction that's bad about it. Their season has been even worse than that. 13 places out in the end. 8th, I thought they would. I thought it wouldn't be as good as the season before. I didn't think it was going to be another 3rd place or even a playoff position for MK Dons. But I thought they had enough to, I think, gel with quite a few young players
and then really go at it next season. I thought that was going to be the strategy. It was going to be quite a long-term plan, recruit for the long term. It hasn't worked at all. Short term has been an utter mess. They've been relegated, and my prediction, that's quite hideous as well. So in 7th position, I went with Portsmouth, one place out in the end. Pompey finished in 8th, so not a bad prediction. At different points across the season, this could have been a really bad prediction. They were around 1st and 2nd for the large parts of the opening few game weeks, and then I thought a guaranteed top 6 finish. Then the wheels came off for Danny Cowley. They ended up being around 14th, 15th. He was sacked. John Mousinho came in, and then they were pushing again for the top 6. It's been a really bizarre Pompey season. Lots of up and downs. In the end, it is going to be another League One campaign for them next year. Promotion didn't happen. A promotion push didn't really look like it was going to happen when John Mousinho came in, and then he did make it possible. It's been a really quite bizarre campaign for them, but they finish in 8th. So disappointment, but could have been much worse, and at one point it looked like it was going to be much worse. Portsmouth, work to be done over the summer, and then go again for promotion next season. The story of Pompey really in League One for quite a few seasons now. So in 6th, I went with Derby County. Of course, not a bad prediction. Only one place out. They finished in 7th in the end. Final day heartbreak for them, losing to Sheffield Wednesday. Peterborough beating Barnsley. They won't have a playoff attempt, and they were so close to it as well. This prediction was done just after the takeover, where the Hurricanes and McGoldricks were coming through the door, and I thought they would have some fantastic quality, no doubt. Were they going to gel? Paul Warne joined. I thought, this is it. He's a manager in League One that knows promotion so well with his time at Rotherham. This is a perfect appointment with the likes of McGoldrick, Horahan, cash in, that were really starting to click. Players that were already there and were joining at the time. It looked like it was going to be a really quite fantastic, exciting squad. In the end, they just miss out. A penalty decision that will mean they won't be in the top 6. Such disappointment on the final day, like I mentioned just a second ago, and in the circumstances as well, you'd say. But yeah, not a bad prediction for Derby. Disappointment because they will be in League One next season. And at one point it looked like playoffs was going to be a minimum. But there we go. 6th is where I got them. 7th is where they finished. So in 5th position, I went with Bolton Wanderers at the start of the season. And of course, Bolton did indeed finish in 5th. Really pleased with that. My second spot-on prediction that I made. And Bolton, I thought through the season, at one point it was going to be quite a disappointment for them, not having that clinical final third output that was going to need to be there to finish in the playoffs. In the end, they proved me very wrong and secured a place in the top 6. They will be competing in the playoffs this season and have a chance to regain promotion into the Championship. A massive opportunity for them, a massive couple of weeks for Bolton Wanderers. But my prediction, spot on. They got them in 5th and they finished in 5th. Really pleased with that. So in 4th position, don't scratch your eyes, Barnsley. And Barnsley did finish in 4th. I can't quite believe it. Both 5th and 4th in the right position. This is incredible. Just go and watch my other prediction videos over the years. This is a rarity, I promise you. But Barnsley have had a really good season. Michael Duff has come in. I was a bit intrigued and quite, not concerned, but maybe a little bit concerned that Michael Duff going from Cheltenham to Barnsley with the expectations that Barnsley was that going to be a problem. Clearly not. I think what he's got this Barnsley side playing is some fantastic football. Luke O'Connor in midfield has been fantastic. Norwood, Cole, all these players. Nicky Cannon joining as well. They played some fantastic stuff under Michael Duff, and I think Barnsley are going to be a real threat going into the playoffs. I got them in 4th at the start of the season. They finished in 4th. What is happening? Back-to-back spot-on predictions. 4th for Barnsley. Wow. I can't quite believe it. So in 3rd position, I went with Peterborough United. Of course, in the end, they finished in 6th. On the final day, they secured a playoff spot. Fantastic work from Darren Ferguson. Started with Grant McCann. It's now Darren Ferguson. Incredible. Back to Darren Ferguson, if in doubt. And once again, he comes up with the goods. They finished just about on the final day in those playoff places, but that's all that matters. 3 places out when it comes to my prediction, but Peterborough will not be too concerned about my prediction because they have now a chance to get back into the Championship. Fair play to Peterborough. Into the playoffs they go. My prediction, only 3 places out. I got them in 3rd at the start of the season. So in 2nd position, I predicted Ipswich, and of course, Ipswich did indeed finish in 2nd. Very happy with that. When we get a spot-on prediction, we should celebrate it, and we are. I thought the summer they had was fantastic. They spent maybe a little bit more than other football clubs in the division, but the quality was certainly there and never doubted. Kieran McKenna joined, of course, in December the season prior, and he did improve things, but just missed out on a playoff position. I thought if things would only get better, which they did, it was going to be a really successful season. And the type of football, the results, the recent run, 19 games unbeaten to season and to finish off the season is just fantastic, unheard of. And the numbers, over 100 goals, It's just brilliant. It really, really is. I thought they would finish in second. They did indeed finish in second. Fair play to them. I think they're going to thrive in the Championship as well. Second for Ipswich, of course, where they did finish in the end as well. So in top spot, I thought Sheffield Wednesday would win the title, and for large parts of the season, I thought this was going to be a really good prediction, but a wobble costing them not just a title, but also a top 2 spot was really disappointing for them. 3 places out. I thought Wednesday were nailed on. The videos, the titles that are seen as a jinx now. They are seen as a jinx, have cost them potentially, not just my videos, but also a real wobble and disappointment with injuries. Look, it was a quite disappointing... It was a bottle. It was a real bottle, and that was simply because the position they were in looked as though it was going to be nailed on for them to secure the title, or at least top 2. It wasn't to be. In the end, third, and they've got to go through the playoffs again. Going to be very, very interesting. Lots of content surrounding the playoffs coming very soon as well, including Sheffield Wednesday, of course, with them being involved in it. But there we go. 3 places out for that prediction. Sheffield Wednesday, not bad, but it could have been so much better. So that is my reaction to the predictions that I did at the start of the season for Sky Bet League One. On the whole, not that bad. Quite a few stinkers, but it could have been much worse. Over the years, we've had much worse predictions. In fact, I've written down here, I got half of these predictions this year, either spot on, 1 place out, or 2 places out. So, look, it's not bad. It could have been much worse. Let me know in the comment section which one of mine was the worst, which club surprised you across the campaign as well, because clearly MK Dons wasn't great, Plymouth wasn't great, Oxford wasn't great, Accrington wasn't fantastic either. Do let me know. Until next time, I've been Jack. This has been the Jack Wood Football Podcast. Stay safe, subscribe, and I will see you all very, very soon. Take care.